Yes, indeed, folks. You need a badge, please. Here on... Oh, just got 27 more Emblems of Conquest. That's great. I can go buy myself skill now. On WoW Radio with myself, Tall Biscuit. If you just tuned in, then you've missed the vast majority of the show. But you can contribute to the show via the medium of email. It's wonderful, isn't it? You can email themurloc@gmail.com. That is themurloc@gmail.com for a section we like to call the Illusion of Choice. And that's the sound of your illusions of choice being shattered when I tell you that I will choose from the emails sent in for the illusion of choice for the last topic of the show. So email themurloc@gmail.com. You've got approximately 15 minutes to do so if you're a live listener. And if you're not a live listener, well, you can email in for the next week's illusion of choice. Won't that be awesome? Now, I'd like to stop myself talking about this, but it's not going to happen. So, I'm going to talk about the new raid instance, because, hey, you know, interested in raid content and all that. Yes, I've cancelled my subscription, but hey, a lot can happen in the time. We'll see how it goes. Hopefully they'll remove that stupid emblem change, and then I might come right back into the game. Just as an aside, actually, the whole PvP leveling thing's got me kind of interested. Wouldn't this be kind of cool? If you got a group of players, yeah? Let's just say a group of 5 to 10 players that started leveling. And obviously you've got to get up to level, 10 or 11 to participate in BGs, yeah? But you do that, and you participate in BGs with your XP turned on in patch 3.2, which means that you're not really leveling against twinks or anything like that, yeah? You might get a few, because of course you can avoid gaining XP via not capping objectives, but I assume that you get an overall XP bonus at the end, so that most twinks aren't going to want to do it. So yeah, you got these guys, and what you did was, you basically created the perpetual twink, yeah? You made a pre-made of perpetual twinks, as in the guys that would go hit the dungeons together, yeah, to get the best gear, yeah? They'd have the money and the backup, they'd hit the dungeons, get the best gear, yeah, do a little bit of leveling in the dungeons, and then do the rest of their leveling in the BGs, and absolutely own face, yeah? And then once they broke the bracket, they'd go back to the dungeons, get some more good gear, yeah, get themselves a few levels, might do some quests, and then go back into the BGs for a few levels, and again, own some face. Yeah, and just keep doing that, perpetually twink, all the way through to, like, level 80, yeah? Turn your XP... You know, here's the best thing, yeah? Get to 60, turn your XP off, and then go get a bunch of stuff from, like, AQ40, and go and twink with that, yeah? And then go back through and do the same thing with TBC stuff. Go into Sunwell, get the friggin' epic bow and everything like that. Wouldn't that be great? I think that'll be kind of fun, you know? I think that would be pretty awesome. I'd do that. I'd hit it, possibly 2 times. Anyway, we can get along with the show. And we'll talk about this content. Now, we've talked a little bit about the Crusaders Coliseum already, but those who don't know, it is going to be a raid instance. It is going to consist of 5, yes, that is 5 bosses. It will also have a 3-boss, 5-player normal and heroic mode dungeon. Now, one of the interesting things about this is they've now gotten rid of the usual definition for normal and heroic. Yeah, normal and heroic used to be 10 and 25 man. That's now changed. There is a normal and heroic mode of both 10 and 25 man. Yeah, what does heroic mean? Hard. Yeah, well, this is something we've been asking for, and I am pretty happy that they're putting it in. Yeah, the whole idea was you've got a mode that is basically nothing but hard modes. Now, obviously, they couldn't really do that with Ulduar, because a few of their bosses didn't have hard modes, which was, again, kind of unfortunate. They should have, but, man, whatever. So they're expanding upon the hard mode concept and just turning it into an actual hard mode. Yeah, not optional hard mode, it's just like, you're in here, you're on hard mode. It's simple as that. The entire friggin' instance is now hard mode. It's interesting. What that basically means is you've got 4 versions of the dungeon. Now, that, to start with, is not a good idea. Yeah? Just because of what's going to end up happening. You're going to end up running the same instance like 4 times a week. Yeah, bearing in mind this is not a long instance, it's 5 raid bosses. Yeah, so you're looking at the length of probably Tempest Keep, you know, plus 1. So it's entirely possible that you're going to clear it in an evening without too much of an issue. And then, of course, you go back and do it again, the harder mode. And then you go do it again, the 25-man mode. Then you go do it again. Oh dear. Yep, this is like doubling the issue that I saw at the start of Wrath that did actually end up happening. That you end up doing the same content twice. Yeah, the average guild ends up doing the same content twice because it helps them gear up faster. Now what you've got here is you do the same content 4 times. That's pretty hard to swallow. Now, I can understand that if the heroic mode bosses are sufficiently different as to provide a different experience, and the 10 and 25 man bosses also different, then, okay, we could probably get rid of that. But I have a feeling this is going to get really samey really damn fast. And I do hope it's a bit of placeholder content while they get along with getting Ice Crown out. You know, that would make sense to me. You know, you've got a small instance that's going to keep people going. I've got no problems with that. You know, bringing in a smaller form raid content is fine. That's cool. Now, one of the interesting things about this is that there's going to be something called the Crusaders Tribute System, and the Tribute System is going to limit players on the number of attempts the raid is allotted every week. Additional rewards can be earned depending on the number of attempts left in the Tribute run each week. It's unfortunate they call it a Tribute run, because that kind of gives you a parallel to Dire Maul, and it's really nothing like that. The number of attempts left in the Tribute run each week when the final boss is defeated. Right. Now, this is active in heroic mode only. Okay? So what you've got is you've got a situation whereby casuals and scrubs can smack their head up against 10 to 25 man normal mode as long as they bloody well choose. Yeah? And what will happen? Well, of course, they'll fail. And, of course, the instance will get nerfed. And they'll keep nerfing it. But it's okay, guys, because we've got heroic mode, right? Wrong. Your average guild is going to be able to do some of the stuff in heroic mode and most likely run out of tribute. We don't know how much tribute we're going to get. Huh? So, what you're going to have is maybe a night where you run out of tribute on heroic, and then the rest of the week you go and do the normal stuff. Everyone's going to keep doing the normal stuff, yeah? Your average guild is going to be doing the normal modes as well as the heroic modes. It's as simple as that. Since they're not mutually exclusive, they're going to do the normal modes, they're going to do the heroic modes, which means the normal modes are invariably going to get nerfed into the ground. What does that mean? They're going to get boring. Same problem we had earlier. Yeah? They'll nerf them. They will nerf them as they did Old War. They'll nerf the normal modes because they said, oh, the hard modes are fine. Yeah, well, again, screws over the average guilds. This has exactly the same potential issue. Will screw over the average guilds. Unfortunate. Very unfortunate. Since they're all on separate raid lockout timers, I might add, yes, you're going to have people going to this instance over and over and over again. The monotony, I have a feeling, is going to catch up on people pretty fast, which is unfortunate. Now, that doesn't mean that the tribute system is a bad idea. No, it's not. It's a little bit of an artificial rooster block, one might say. Yeah? In the same way that Algernon was. Yeah, some people complained that Algernon was an artificial rooster block designed to keep the elite guilds away from clearing the entire instance in like 2 minutes. And I suppose that's kind of true to some degree. This could potentially have the same effect. What can happen here is you run into a situation whereby your elite guilds are going to, take the few attempts and they're not going to have anything really to do for the rest of the week because they're going to blast through the 10-25 man normals, which are invariably not going to be all that hard. Understandable. Is that a terrible situation to be in? Well, not really. It could be worse. I also heard that they will only be allowing access to one boss per week, kind of coming in one boss per week. So when it gets released, there'll be one boss available, then 2, then 3, then 4, then 5. This may get changed. This is not actually in the PTR notes, but bear in mind that the Crusaders Coliseum is not yet available for testing anyway, so the PTR patch notes are most likely incomplete in that respect. I'm absolutely sure that I saw mention of that earlier in the preview of the Crusaders Coliseum. It might get changed before launch, but who knows. So they're having this kind of phasing in of the content, just kind of like the opening of the doors in not SSC, Sunwell Plateau. Is that bad? Yeah, it's a little bit artificial and a little bit cheesy, and I can't say I'm a massive fan of it as a result, but if it works, it works. Now, what the tribute system could also do is shut up whiny casual babies. And that's always good, because I hate whiny casual babies. They get on my nerves. They annoy me. They're incessant. I go on all day. Yeah, it really gets on my nerves. Isn't that an annoying sound? Yeah, that's the noise I hear whenever I read the general forums. It's horrendous. I should get that checked out. That's something that I'm hoping I'll be able to get purged with brain bleach. Now, the casuals complain. The entitled casuals we're talking about here, that, I don't have enough time to raid because I have a life. Yes, indeed. I'm actually posting this from my BlackBerry. I'm in the country club playing golf with the boys. Yes, I have such a life. I'm such a social starlet. Yeah, well, you're not really, to be honest, let's face it, because if you were, you wouldn't feel the need to justify yourself on an internet forum. You'd be out with your friends drinking and doing all those wonderful things that life has to offer. Yeah, because Lord knows no one else is able to walk out the door and into a bar and drink themselves under the frickin' table. Now, the limited try system removes the casual, entitled excuse that they've come out with, yeah? This is the excuse they use. The excuse they use is quite simple. This is the excuse. I don't have enough time. Oh, look! It's not based on time anymore. It's based entirely on skill. I wonder what's going to happen here. Oh yes, the same people who are complaining will still not be able to do the content. Not because they don't have the time, just because they're not very good. And of course it will prove what we knew all along, and that's fine. That'll be great. That'll be awesome for argument. Yeah, we can stick that on the wall and say, hey, I told you so. Now, of course, one of the other advantages of the tribute system is that it allows for easy integration into raid schedules. Yeah? If you're not bashing your head against the same content all week, then it's easy to integrate, hey, let's go do the bosses in this time. Okay, we're out of tributes. What you can also do is time it to make sure that your best raiders are on at that time. The nice thing is that this is really going to be a nice purge of bad players in guilds. Yeah? I've suffered at the hands of players that should not be in the guilds that I've been in. Yeah? Players that have basically sucked. And this is going to weed them out quite nicely. I'm not going to talk too much more about that because I know that Octel wanted to go on this like for half an hour on the Sunday show, and I'm going to let him have at it. Because, hey, it's a positive change from his perspective, it's a positive change from my perspective. Well, the conclusion. It looks alright. It looks pretty good as a tied-over piece of content. Admittedly, we've not seen what the encounters are going to offer. The tribute system is interesting. I have concerns, particularly over the fact that it is a very small-looking instance, and we're going to have to run the damn thing like 4 times a week if we're in an average sort of raiding guild. It may be that you quickly get to the state, thanks to emblems of triumph and all that kind of jazz, that in reality you're not going to have to run the 10-man normal mode for very long, or indeed at all. If you've completed Ulduar, maybe you won't have to touch that stuff. But I don't know. If we look at the way that Nax worked, the Ulduar normal stuff was better than Nax normal stuff, but not quite as good, in some respects, but not all, as Nax Heroic. So if we look at it, then it's going to be better than the Ulduar normal stuff, but it's going to be, some of it's going to be better than the Ulduar 25-man, and some of it not. We'll see. We'll see how they manage to itemize that. They may do that, they may not. They may, to be honest though, I just have the feeling that the 10-man is going to be worth running regardless, yeah? I think they're going to maybe jack up the gear quite a bit. So, hey, you're gonna end up running that whatever guild you're in, and that could get somewhat frustrating. So, I think Blizzard's got to look into that very carefully and make sure that it's actually rewarding to go into the appropriate sized instance, yeah? Maybe go into the 10-man heroic mode, because you don't have to spend too long in there, because obviously you're going to have the tribute system, which limits the number of times you get to go in, and you're going to have the 25-man, which you then clear in the 25 heroic. So at least you can skip the 10-man normal. We'll see how that goes. It'll be interesting to see how they work out. Maybe it'll work, maybe it won't. But at least they're trying, you know, and that's kind of important to me. You're listening to Badge Please here on WoW Radio. Oh, look, 57 more badges. Wonderful. I'll be right back after this with the Illusion of Choice. Enjoy.